All right, so I'm Keith and Foster. I'll be talking about Drew Pember as it relates to winning National Player of the Year. Drew Pember is a 6'10" power forward from UNC Asheville. He recently played with the University of Tennessee about 2 years ago, but after his sophomore season, he transferred as he got a better opportunity to play here. So as we said earlier, this is Drew when he was at University of Tennessee. This was a game against Memphis. Many of you may or may not remember this, but this is when he came in early and tried to dunk. That's neither here nor there, though. So, under the radar, coming out of high school, Pember was known for his rim protection and elite shooting skills. His length standing at 6 feet 10 inches, along with his amazing timing, makes it hard for any offensive player to get easy looks at the rim. This made him an ideal recruit for Rick Barnes. However, this never worked out as Pember would join the Volunteers for 2 seasons before transferring to UNC Asheville his junior year. So this is like I said earlier, as we showed with the picture. Pember was a member of the Tennessee Vols for 2 seasons before transferring his junior season. So with that being said, as you all know, Rick Barnes, he loves defense. That is really the claim to the fame if you watch the Tennessee Vols. So this will get back to this coming earlier. He came in as a recruit for his defense and being able to shoot the three ball very well. All Pember needed was an opportunity to play, and coming to UNC Asheville not only allowed him to do that, but it also let him excel. Pember went on to win Defensive Player of the Year his first season in the Big South, averaging 3 blocks a game and almost a steal. Also, due to his increased role, he was able to see his scoring increase to 15.7 points per game. Entering the next season, Pember was named preseason Big South Player of the Year. So as we said earlier, his claim to fame coming in was his elite defense and also being able to shoot the three ball. I know his three ball isn't mentioned in there, but coming out of high school, he was an elite shooter and an elite defender. But no one really knew that he would be able to score the ball. It's a difference between being a shooter and a scorer. So with that being said, Pember never really worked out at Tennessee, but going to UNC Asheville, which is in the Big South, which is a mid-major, obviously the talent is a little less there, so he was able to step up into the main role, and obviously this shows. So this is Pember at UNC Asheville this season. Since being at UNC Asheville, he has been stuffing the stat sheet, averaging this season 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Those stats speak for themselves. I mean, I can't think of many college players that average this many points, rebounds, and blocks or more. And if they were averaging this season, I would guess that a lot of those went on to be stars. A lot of those went on to be stars in the NBA. As we said, his defensive presence is now getting overshadowed by his offensive development, having 2 games of 40 or more points and having the highest scoring total in any game with 48. So when I mean any game, I mean all of college basketball. So all the mid-majors, Power 5 schools, all of them. He has the most of anybody. And he has 2 40-point games. So to put that in perspective, there's only 40 minutes in the game. He didn't play every minute. So this goes to show how elite he was scoring that game. If Pember can make a run during March Madness and continue to do well in conference play, we can very much see his name taken off the boards this offseason. So conference play is over. Pember won the tournament MVP, leading his team to the conference championship. The game before the conference championship, Pember's team was kind of struggling, and he willed his team back to victory with an impressive 31 points, 10 rebounds. Him being a mid-major should not affect any of you guys' opinions on him, because when we go back to guys like John Morant or Stephen Curry, for instance, those guys came from mid-majors, and I know for a fact that John Morant was definitely in the National Player of the Year discussion. So when you talk about guys who are affecting the ball on both sides of the court, because, I mean, when you go to his 48-point game, I believe he had 2 or 3 blocks. So he's doing both sides of the floor. There's a lot of guys aren't doing. So this brings us to social media week 1 and what we'll be doing. So this is Drew Pember, player of the week, 25 points, 8.5 rebounds, 5 blocks. 5 blocks for the week. Yes. So this just goes to show how versatile he is with his game. So with our account, we'll be running for our social media week will be a mid-major basketball scouting account. So we'll basically go over all the not all of them, but mid-major prospects who are balling, who are not getting the recognition as Power 5 conferences, but should be getting the recognition. So that's what we'll be, and our main social media platforms will be YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, with the primary focus on Twitter, since that would give us the most interaction, and Twitter is very well known for having a lot of opinions. So first what we'll do is we'll make a YouTube video detailing his 48-point game, and we'll get a clip of a minute of it, and we'll post this clip onto our Twitter and Instagram. And after a couple days and getting some interactions on it, we will then proceed to post the full clip breaking it down. So that's what we'll do the first week. So why you should vote Pember? Most points scored in the game this season, 48. 6 games of 5+ blocks. Not 2, not 3, 5+ blocks. Reigning Big South Player of the Year. 46.8 field goal percentage and 38.8% from the 3. I mean, the guy, he's 6'10", guys, shooting almost 40% from 3. I mean, there's not much needs to be said. Most threes made in the game in school history. He's 6'10", with the most threes made in the game. Team is first in Big South, and they just won. 20 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. 2 games with 40+ points. This is all goes to show why I believe he's the ideal big man for today's game, because today's game is a more pace and space era, meaning that a lot of people that can shoot around the court, giving it a room for a lot of space for the star players to attack the court. We may not know if Drew Pember will necessarily be a star at the next level, but with that being said, with his wingspan and him being 6'10", he's ideal for the game, because shooting 38.8% from 3. I already said earlier that he came in and had to transfer, and he showed improvement. So with that being said, he's still young, and he's definitely has room to improve. And if you just go to show from where he was sophomore year to senior year, as a scout, you should be very impressed if you're looking for someone in the NBA draft, because he shows that he will put in the work. And he doesn't talk about it, it just shows. And this is Pember dunking on them. So this is just his 48-point game, but I don't know why I put it in there. So we'll just do social media week 2. So after we get the buzz from his 48-point game, we'll now start highlighting his defensive end. So similar to what we did week 1, we will post a clip from what he did on defense, and then we'll then send them to the YouTube a couple days later to then focus on more in-depth breakdown. So that's his Defensive Player of the Year title. So in conclusion, Pember's combination of size along with his elite three-point shooting make him an ideal big for today's NBA, which is centered more around pace and space, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically having a lot of three-point shooters on the court to create the most space possible for star players to attack the floor. With Pember being a 38% shooter from 3, the sky's the limit. As previously stated, Pember was never originally viewed as a scorer until he moved to UNC Asheville. I had a typo there. Therefore, one can reasonably assume he has not yet done improvement. If Pember continues to impress, do not be surprised if you hear his name called this offseason. I definitely believe Pember is somebody who we will be seeing getting drafted in this year's 2023 draft. There's a lot of big names coming out, such as Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller. The list goes on and on. However, Drew Pember, I believe, is right in there. He might not be a lottery pick, but I believe late first round to early second round with the potential to grow. I believe that's where Drew Pember will stand. So I say all of this to say Drew Pember is an elite prospect coming out. His game definitely should be recognized as one of the elite. And if you do not have him as the favorite, you should definitely have him on your ballot. Him being mid-major should not stop you from voting for him, because as we've seen previously, Ja Morant was on there. So that's all I have to say. This is Drew Pember, guys.